There we have it. Manchester United have won again under Ruud van Nistelrooy. A nice performance. Would I say it was vintage United? No, but did they get the job done? Did they control the game really well? Were there some great individual performances? I would say yes. So we're just going to go over that, analyze it, and just talk about what's looking good for United. But before I begin, if you are new here, please hit the subscribe button. Hitting the like button as well would be greatly appreciated. But we're going to obviously start with that press from Manchester United. And it was quite interesting. You know, we almost had this hybrid sort of, at times it would be four across here. These four would be the ones that would be pressing. But sometimes you'd find United just matching up Leicester, going 3-4-3. Because Leicester, obviously, you can look here, they like to go three across the back and build up from there. Christensen comes in. And that's how most teams like to build up. But here you have Ahmad ready to pounce on Christensen, Bruno ready to pounce on Vestergaard, and then Højlund ready to pounce on Face. And many times United would turn over the ball by doing this. This was very early in the game. You can see in the top left, the game hasn't even begun. You've just got now the referee, all of this sort of stuff being talked about. But United were ready on that press, hungry, and it was a decent little start from them as well. And that kind of came from the intensity in the press that Ruud van Nistelrooy has installed. It was certainly a game which had combination play, close-knitness between the players, and that's how United managed to exploit Leicester. Really close between the players. You've got UGARTE, you've got, you know, Martinez, Mazraoui creating that triangle there. Then again, another triangle created, Bruno, Casemiro, Rashford. It's all over the pitch. They are just simply creating triangles all over the pitch. And when you do this, it's really hard for an opposition to try and close you down, try and create havoc for you, because United just have so many solutions to get out of it. And you can see Leicester are really outnumbered on this side of the pitch. And we see a lot of big teams do this. United didn't do this enough under Ten Hag. Build numbers around the ball, then you can combine and you can get into forward areas. And the pockets that Bruno was picking up were lovely in this game. UGARTE had a fantastic game. Casemiro as well in this zone. He was not doing what we saw in midweek where he would switch with Mazraoui and Ahmad. He was tasked with this free role to roam and create combinations, create options in the midfield. And it was really effective, especially in that first half. There's another example of rotations, of players picking up pockets of spaces. Look at Casemiro in a fantastic place to receive this ball. Look at Højlund. He can be fired into his feet. It was brilliant from United. They were finding space. They were finding areas to receive the ball. You also had Rashford here dropping deep and then allowing Mazraoui to go. See, this sort of thing, it's simple, but it's really effective. And United really didn't do this enough under Ten Hag. Having the ability to roam, freedom of the pitch. You see an area to go into, you go into that space. It was really good to see. And Ahmad as well. You won't see him in the frame, but his sort of task, he had this zone to himself. So if the switch was there, United would go for the switch and it would create a 1v1 against Christensen. And how many times in that game did Ahmad just absolutely destroy Christensen 1v1, especially in that first half? It was absolutely unreal. I don't know how he wasn't starting more games under Erik ten Hag, but he was great. You know, he looks really good in those 1v1 scenarios, and he really helped United really, you know, sort of pin Leicester back in certain stages of the match. And again, the role of Bruno, he drops into this area, allowing the freedom for the other players. This is what Amrin going to love, to have his players to rotate, to find positions to pick up the ball. This is how you're going to destroy teams, by having that unpredictability in the final third, but also in other thirds of the pitch. The thing I want to talk about is the first goal that Bruno Fernandes scored. I feel that, you know, the goals, you can't really analyze them in depth, but what you can talk about again is Manchester United having numbers in the box and where these players are situated. Here you go, look at Ahmad. He's happy on this left side. We need to see more switches around. Rashford comes to the right, and you can tell Leicester were a bit rattled by this small little alteration and this small little change, because it meant that Rashford is so good on this backstick area. We saw against Chelsea, he can get into these zones, he can create opportunities for himself. His movement in the box is really good. The ball doesn't come to him, but again, it's just having those numbers in the box, having Leicester's defenders having to deal with something. Everyone here is occupied. Fatawu has to think of Rashford. Christensen has to think of, you know, Rashford as well, or he has to think about Højlund making a dart into this zone. So they're occupied, which then allows Bruno Fernandes to have a shot on goal. And United didn't have enough goals under Ten Hag because there wasn't enough movement in the box. There wasn't enough changes between the forward line, but we saw it again against Leicester here, and it's really, really effective, especially against these sort of low blocks, mid blocks, where you're really having to be constantly on the attack. You need to have that combination rotational play. I'm on to foot mob because I just want to talk about individual performances and the players which really did impress me. Mazraoui is so consistent back there. He really, really is. You can see his defensive stats there. 2 clearances, 2 headed clearances, 3 recoveries, even his pass accuracy at 86%, and those duels won, 7 out of 10 ground duels won is very, very impressive. He is United's best right back and left back in a defensive sense. Attacking wise as well, he can get into those high zones, allowing the rotations for Rashford and Casemiro, Bruno. He allows that fluid rotation, so that in itself makes him such an important player, and I feel like he really did lock down Buonanotte, Fatawa as well, when he switched over to that side. We saw Mazraoui be really confident in those duels, and that's what you want to see from your fullback. Firstly, as a fullback, you don't want to get beaten, but you want to have some sort of an influence in the final third, and Mazraoui certainly does. Obviously, UGARTE was absolutely unreal, had 6 tackles in the match. You saw him breaking up the play. You saw him, his passing was pretty decent as well, at 92%, being accurate. Those defensive stats, 7 recoveries, that's really, really good. 10 out of 16 duels won. He's being in those duels. He's having to be aggressive. He's loving being aggressive, and that sort of thing is fantastic to see from a United fan's point of view. Even Casemiro next to him was really good for me. He was picking up nice zones, being nice, in sort of the spaces he was covering, allowing this constant pressure to be had on Leicester. And of course, you can't really not talk about this United performance and not talk about Bruno Fernandes picking up the pocket spaces, 9.2 rating, created 7 chances. When you have him playing higher up the pitch in the final third, he is so effective. Under Ten Hag, for whatever reason, he'd be too deep. You need Bruno in the final third to create. And even defensively, look, 100% of his tackles won. 4 recoveries, he's in those duels too. These sort of things is what you want to see from United. You want to see this from Bruno. And I think under Amorim, when he's going to be playing in those pockets, maybe as part of the front 3 or in the defensive 2 sort of situation, wherever it be, he'll have the freedom to roam, pick up the ball, and really, really play. And of course, the last player I want to talk about, I think De Ligt was strong. I thought Martinez as well was nice in there. But Amad Diallo, he's just so tidy. He has, this just sort of this confidence when he receives the ball. And he's even getting those duels in as well. Look, 9 out of 13 duels won. 2 out of 2 of his aerial duels won. 8 recoveries. He's working hard. He's getting back. He's fighting for the badge. At just 22, you can see the potential is there. And it's just about playing him consistently and giving him the confidence. But a really, really nice game from United. They're now up to 13th. Obviously not where they want to be, but it's a work in progress. I feel like Amorim is going to come in and do a fantastic job because United are in a good place right now, thanks to Ruud van Nistelrooy.